Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the Y&E podcast. And one topic we want to talk about is the U.S. travel bans for several African countries. I know some other countries are affected as well, but in this scenario, we're talking about African countries. And some of these countries are predominantly Muslim countries. So is this the second batch of the Trump's Muslim ban from his first tenure as president? We don't know. Mm, citizens from Chad, Republic of Congo, Eritrea, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, which are all predominantly Muslim countries, they've been completely banned from entering the US unless they already have a valid visas before June 9th, 2025. And there's some other countries that have faced limited visa access, especially in the student categories, exchange student or exchange visa categories, the tourist visa categories, countries like Sierra Leone, Togo, and maybe Burundi. And there's a rumor of another 36 African countries that will be added to the list. And they've been given a 60-day deadline to improve their traveler vetting system, quote unquote. And Nigeria is one of those countries. Ghana is one of those countries. It's funny that South Africa is not on the list. It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, it's funny that South Africa is not on the list, right? And some of these countries, Egypt, Angola, Tanzania, and they're being scrutinized for high visa overstay, inadequate civil documentation, security concerns. I know, security concern is definitely something we need to be worried about, especially in countries where there have been civil unrest, where we don't know who's coming in, who's applying for visas. But at the same time, the US government will do whatever they have to do to take care of their citizens, to take care of their country people. We want to make sure that if you're coming to the US, you're coming for the right reasons, not coming to cause trouble, bringing gang related activities into the US. And it is justifiable. It is justifiable. And I think it's time African countries, African Union come together and develop Africans. African Union needs to do a better job. They need to lessen the visa burden from one country to another, especially in Africa. If you think about European Union, they have free movement within the countries in the European Union. But it's unfortunate that in African Union, it's not like that. For you to get into another African country, you need a visa. Oh, we not even give you a visa, but we need to have a better relationship. We all need to develop a continent and make it fancy, make it so that a lot of foreigners from other continents will want to visit. And we know there's some great places in Africa, a lot of tourist attraction. If they really, pay attention to that sector, it can improve our economy. It can improve, it can provide jobs for our people. If you think about it, the Atlantic Ocean cuts across some African countries. It's sad that cruise ships don't go on that route. In Africa, they have really nice weather. These cruise ships are not able to go due to security reasons. They don't want their ships to be taken over by pirates. They don't want additional security risks that comes with that. But if Africans are able to fix Africa, it will open up that opportunity for them. It will bolster the tourism, especially for countries with access to ports. That would definitely increase the tourism income to the country. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, you are definitely right. I will start off by saying that I think for so many of us in the diaspora, or for so many people in the diaspora, I think if home is good, people will prefer to go back home and stay, and just stay in their country. Because let's face it, even if you come to America, you nationalize, become a citizen, or you have a green card, or you have any kind of paperwork, there is nothing like the feeling of being in your country. I can tell you for sure. So I think our leaders, I'm from Nigeria, so let me focus on Nigeria. I think the Nigerian government needs to put in effort to better the place, to develop the place, create jobs. Recently, I think yesterday I heard that they're about to kick off like a credit facility. I think that will boost spending. People will be able to spend the money that, technically they don't have. I think that would be good for the economy. Yeah, but apart from that, I think they need to pay attention to the real estate sector, making sure that people are really selling the houses or lands for what they are worth and not just overpricing it because they want to upsell people. So in a nutshell, I think Africa, let me take it to Africa, they need to come together as a bloc and then demand and implement a better government. All those sit tight leaders in Africa, like when you go to Equatorial Guinea, the guy that has been there for almost 40 years, those things would not make, will discourage people from coming home because there is no accountability. Even though sometimes they claim that they are democracy, they are not, because how can somebody sit on be a president for like 40 years? It doesn't make sense at all. So those things, in fact, people run away from those things. Those are some of the reasons why people, maybe fleeing the, African continent. And, until those things change, most people will not be encouraged to come back home. So I think they need to address those things. The AU, the African Union, they need to talk to themselves and get rid of those sit tight leaders to make all these places attractable to the people to come back to. And the idea of needing visa for each African country as an African, I think that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen that exists. In fact, as an American, you don't need a visa to go to Canada. And I'm not sure if Canadians need a visa to come to America. Within the European Union, you don't even need visa to move around the European Union. When my brother was living in France, he used to travel to London and just get on the train and travel to London and come back again. So is the dumbest thing I've ever seen or I've ever heard, that each country you're visiting in Africa that you need to apply for visa. And Professor Malumba used to say it. He used to say that if you set out and say you want to visit 20 African countries, you change your currency 20 times because each border you cross would demand or require you, to have a different currency. I think that's stupid. In fact, there are people, a lot of people that, that said that that was one of the things that Gaddafi was trying to implement, that he got into trouble with the West and they came with full force and then overpowered them. And when they came, most African leaders, almost all of them, I think Obasanjo was the president that time, if I'm not mistaken. All of them just sat and looked and why they dehumanized that guy and then eventually wiped him out. Maybe they can, employ diplomacy, use diplomacy to do it, to see if they can achieve that objective. A Nigerian can wake up and say, I'm going to South Africa, without needing a visa. Or a South African can wake up and say, I'm going to Nigeria to live, without requiring a visa. I think that should be their aim. And that will really prop up, like you said, that will really help the tourism industry. In fact, if you go to Nigeria, Obudu Cattle Ranch, according to people, is a very good place to go for tourism. And they have a Yankee game reserve. In fact, in Nigeria, in Jos, they have a snowfall. So a lot of good place to visit in South Africa, Zanzibar, and all of that place. There is a whole lot of places to visit, and if they are able to achieve that objective, that will boost the tourism industry, and that will mean jobs, and that will mean money. So with the visa ban, I think if people really want to come here, they shouldn't come here to foment trouble. Just come here and do what you want to do. If you're coming here for school, if you remember our previous one of our segments, I said that if you are here for school, to go to school, this is my opinion, okay, but I see no reason why you should be participating in this thing protest. So long what is happening doesn't affect your studies, I think you should just pay attention to your study go home. If you want to formalize your status, you want to change your status, you want to stay, look for a legit way to do it or look for a way to do it. But otherwise, if you are here for school, just go to school. And if you are here on a lottery status or whatever status, just come here, do your thing, stay away from trouble, and then be a good citizen if you eventually become a citizen, or be a good visitor if you just want to remain a visitor. I think they still reserve the right to issue visa to whomever they deem fit. But the only problem I have is that it looks like they're coming hard on African countries on the previous list and the supplemental list. The VC list just came out, and it looks like Nigeria is on that VC list. Is a special list. If you really pay attention to it, you'll see that it looks like America under Trump does not really want to do a lot with Africans, even though we are almost one of the most educated people in the US. We tend not to cause trouble, but it looks like he don't want to deal with us, Africans, that much. So I think Africans needs to put their house in order. If our continent or our countries are good, most of us will not have reason to be here. So I think the African leaders should put their house in order.
I definitely agree with you on that. The U.S. government reserves the right to approve or deny visas. So if you have the right documentation, just hope that you get approved. And if you don't, make sure your documentations are in order before applying to increase your chances of being approved. Like you said, it looks like, Africans um are gonna be getting the short end of the sticks with the Trump's administration. But if there's any African out there and you have a legal status, make sure whenever you go out, make sure you're going out with your passport, with your passport cards, in case you're stopped by a police officer or an ICE agent. That way, you're able to show them your legal status. You're able to show them you're a legal resident in the U.S., so you don't get deported. But it's happening. And I know during Trump's first term, there was a call to action that when you go out, make sure you have your passport cards with you, make sure you have your legal documentation with you whenever you're out there. Because you never know when you'll be stopped by a police officer. You never know when you'll be stopped by a nice agent. And if you're able to provide proper documentation, you will get away. And if you're not able to provide the right documentation, hopefully you won't get deported unnecessarily. But it is definitely important that Africans develop Africa. Yeah, there should be no point in having multiple currencies between the same African Union. There's no point in having to apply for multiple visas if you're going between one African country to another. Well, there's always a reason for everything. Maybe it's for these other African countries to generate money for their country. That's when you apply for visas. Some of these visas are not free. You have to pay some amount of money for the visa application. So maybe it's a way for them to generate more income for the economy. But when one country is successful, especially in Africa, they should put the other country up, so there will be less migration into another African country. And we know that in the last few years, there's been a tension between Nigerians living in South Africans. The South Africans don't like the Nigerians because maybe they claim they're arrogant, they claim they're taking their jobs, they're taking their women. And some of the Nigerians living in South Africa have been assaulted, they've been killed due to one reason or the other. But it's important that we Africans continue to love on each other. It's important that we continue to, share in each other's struggles, share in each other's burden. Because when one country is better than the other, that country should pull the other country to the top. So that way there will be less migration and everyone will be able to enjoy their country. There will be able to be easy movement between the two African countries. But it's important that we all love each other. It's important that we avoid divisive rhetoric. We avoid rhetoric that brings up hate amongst each other. so that we're able to move forward as a people and we're able to move forward as a continent.
Yeah. Let me talk about the issue of visa fee. I don't really see visa fee does not mean it's not if somebody is coming to your country, if you are just looking at the visa fee, it means that you are aiming, too low. Because if somebody, let's say somebody travel from Nigeria to this US, the money the person will spend in the US is what the US sometimes what they are, what they focused on. When you come, if you don't have a place to stay, you will spend money, you will stay in the hotel, you will go out, you will do activities. There are taxes coming out from those things. I think that's what these African countries should be focusing on. If there are a lot of people coming to Obudu Cattle Ranch or Nigeria for tourism, it means that even though Nigerian government is not even taking money from the visa, but the money they will be spending will how will I put it? Will trickle down to the people. You buy from the locals and you support businesses and stuff like that. So I think that should be the focus. But I also heard in the past that there is that our colonial masters has to do with all of that stuff. It's a way to keep us away from each other. I can't remember the whole story, but there's a whole story about that. Because each uh, each African country, most African countries are colonized by different countries, and they try to, you know, to to keep them or to separate them or keep them away from each other, something along that line. So yeah, I think, you know, Africa, we need to definitely develop our country. We need to develop our continent and just give people reason to stay in the country or in the continent. And like I said about those sit tight presidents, yeah, we need to get rid of them. They need to is it that they get down, by fire by force, but they need to vacate that seat. With the issue of South Africa, I think South Africa is the most ungrateful country in the face of the earth currently because when they were going through apartheid, Nigeria helped them. Nigeria stood up for them. Was their big brother, played a major role in making sure that they actualize their independence. But if this is how they choose to pay us, so be it. I wish, Nigerians would stop going to South Africa. In fact, I wouldn't even spend my money in South Africa. So if this is how they choose to pay us, to repay us, just like Nigeria was very instrumental to Ghana progress. And if they decide to repay us like this, because from time to time I hear some Ghana people on the internet, talking about Nigeria, that Nigeria is taking over their country. I'm like, are you okay? Do you know how Ghana must go came about? So if they choose to be ungrateful, that's okay. But history will always remember the role Nigeria played in the life of these two countries, the South Africa and the Ghana. So I know that a lot of them that are, doing this, being mean to the Nigerians in their countries, a lot of them are Gen Zs. They don't even know what happened in the past. A lot of them born in 2005, 2002, so they have no idea. I think the people that know, like the new Ghana president, he knew the role Nigeria played. In fact, he spent most of his life in Nigeria, the new Ghana president. So those people they know the history between the two countries, but the Gen Zs, no, they don't. So I think from time to time they need to be sitting them down and be explaining these things to them. But yeah, I wouldn't even spend my money to go to South Africa.
I get what you're saying, but you can't really blame them because it looks like Nigeria has been doing it past glory in the last couple of decades. Nigeria used to be giant of Africa, but it looks like we're basically struggling right now. All other countries are slowly progressing. It looks like Nigeria is retrogressing, and it's all about the quality of our leaders. Hopefully, we'll get we continue to get good quality leaders that will put the interest of the people above their own personal interests so the economy can grow. And we know Nigeria is the largest black population in the world. If Nigeria economy can be better, it's good for all the black people all over the surface of the earth. Bring good things to Africa. It'll bring good things to Nigeria. We're great people. We're good people. we'll try to do well. We'll try to support each other. We'll try to do our best to uh, make sure our people are okay. We're a giver. We give. We love on each other, and hopefully we'll get that one thing that we need, which is good quality leaders. As soon as we get it right, Nigerians will return back to being the giant of Africa and hopefully being the giant of the world. I'll turn it over to you to wrap it up.
Yeah, like I said, we need to put our house in order. For some of us in the diaspora, if the conditions are right or the conditions were right, a lot of us will definitely come back home. And in fact, not just come back home, a lot of us will not even have reason to be in the diaspora. So it beckons on the leaders. I'm from Nigeria. I will speak about Nigeria. Tinubu need to continue to, to put Nigeria, on the map. Keep doing the right thing. He's doing some things right. He's doing his style of politics is what I don't like. But otherwise, I think there are some areas that he's, doing right by. So I think they should intentionally improve the economy, create jobs, create wealth. The credit facility that they're about to start, I think it will be a good, one. If she's able to pull it, I think that would be a very big legacy. The US, any other country for that matter, reserve the right to issue visa. If they feel like your application is not right, your paperwork is not complete, and they decide not to give you visa, do not throw it. You can go back to the drawing board, reapply, and see if they give you. But if they don't raise dust about it. It's just like somebody calling you to come to your house. I'm not home. If you are not home, the person is not coming. If you tell the person that I'm home, the person will come. Exactly like that. So our leaders, they need to, set us up for success and then make sure that they continue to, make investment in human capital and all of that stuff and improve our economy. And people will not have you will not even have the reason to be going to embassy to apply to immigrate to another country. If you are to do that, definitely it will probably be just for vacation. But if they don't give you, I don't think you'll be throwing fit. So our leaders, they need to do right by us.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to engage us in the comment section. And we look forward to hearing your opinion on our conversation today. Thank you for joining us and have a good day.
Thank you.